Hey, today we're going to focus on documenting kind of the first ideas of what we're going to work on. I mentioned in episode 6 how important it was to be focused on not just one idea, but multiple ideas on how we get going. So I want to go ahead and document with you a few things that we can get started working on. I'll work on building some, and then I'll give them to you to fix, but then I'll have you get going on some things. So ultimately, our primary business, I do have the ability to have decent penmanship from time to time, but our first major project is Casper Workflow Strategies. Okay, and this company is simply going to be designed to offer workflow solutions for people who are just consuming too much time doing menial, repetitive tasks. We're going to be using a lot of the AI platforms that are out there, linking them together. And one of the most important things that I want to make sure we're doing through Casper Workflow Strategies is getting the message out that people do not need to change systems. So what I know about SaaS sales and other software sales and other just system changes is humans don't like change. And if someone has to change their system, we have a huge barrier to entry. So if we can simply integrate with their system or even maximize their system, I think that Casper Workflow will be something that really just hits the mark on a lot of areas. So one of the other things that we'll need to talk about is really, I know we have a $100,000 goal, but I also know that we may have to, just like I did when I launched the accounting firm, start at lower price points, maybe do some build outs for free that we'll charge for in the future and some other things like that. But I think ultimately Casper Workflow Strategies will be not only an upfront model where people pay for a build, but then they'll also pay a monthly recurring amount. So we have a building company that has sustainability behind it so we can fortify it with a foundation. What kind of questions do you have on the goal for Casper Workflow Strategies?
I don't think I have too many questions. I think, I've talked previously kind of about different ideas and how to implement the actual workflow strategy part. I think it'll be interesting, I guess, just to see the market fit on if it's better to charge people more monthly or charge them a setup fee and then a little bit less monthly, just kind of the whole price elasticity test of things I think will be interesting. Yeah, other than that, I think no questions.
I agree. I think that we've been talking about this for some time. And I think that as you were developing software in the past and working on workflow strategies, it's just extremely cumbersome in the old models, right? When we were trying to actually program to someone's needs versus utilizing the AI tools that are out there right now that not only minimize the learning curve, but they learn. And so I'm really excited about creating models that we can repeat and replicate from one application to another. And so I think that that's going to be really fun. And I think that we're going to do a lot of cool things for people. And the other cool part about it I love is that, although you may choose to be programming and developing 24 hours a day or overnight, pulling all-nighters like you used to when you were younger, I don't recommend it because, it's just not
I'm
that
getting
healthy.
Old, man. I can't do that.
Yeah, I know it.
I need my 8 hours of sleep.
Yeah, now that you're 30 and stuff, right? So in the meantime, the speed of turnout on these products is amazing. So the ability to launch the betas and show people what we're doing within literal hours, days is just pretty amazing. So I'm excited to get that one rolling. So one of the next things I really want to talk about is the fact that, one of the things that people need to remember as they think about leaving either a W-2 job or just making a little money as a side hustle on the side is doing something that they're an expert at or they have been doing all along. And so the next one I want to do is a realtor tax plan. What I'd like to do with that is I want to be able to provide realtors. We'll start in Texas, which is where we're based out of. And I'm very familiar, and I have several clients who are realtors. And most of the clients that I've had a chance to talk to who are realtors have these two problems occur. The first thing is they have these light bulb moments going, oh my gosh, I should be tracking this better. I should be doing something different to my finances. So when it comes to tax time, number one, I'm not at a crunch to get data to my accountant. And then number two, I actually was able to plan some stuff. And then the next thing that happens is really funny. They get pissed off. And they're pissed off because their former accountant never told them anything. And so I want to provide them with an ebook that will sell for a very reasonable price, and then potentially have a conversion plan where we can write individual tax plans for them. I already have a partner CPA on this that can do the actual tax plans with me. Because it's real estate in the state of Texas to start, we can expand this to all 50 states. The rules are different in some states, so I got to, make sure that the information is relevant. We can update the ebook, resend it out, or even go state by state if that's what we wanted to, simply because the basis is the same. Then we move to the state-specific data. Then we move to the potential upgraded tax plan. So that'll be something that I'll build out most of, Levi. And then what I'll need your help with is really kind of the go-to-market strategy. So utilizing social media and things like that. And so one of the things we discussed early is Casper workflow strategy should generate cash pretty quickly. We both understood that we'd have to throw a couple $100 at this. And I did not say a couple thousand. I mean, a couple $100. We'll get started. We'll have to pay for some software costs, some beta costs so we can learn. But in the meantime, what I'd like to do is potentially reinvest a little bit of cash. And when I say little, I'm talking like $500 here and there as we have excess cash flow to be able to do like paid ads and push on social media platforms and things like that. So we can boost the information and get it to our target audience. So I'll handle the build out on that one. With the tools that I've already developed, I'll be able to dust off a couple things, update them for 2026 rules and regulations, and kind of go from there. Any questions on that one?
No, I think I've seen some of the stuff that you've worked on previously. So I think, just with everything that we're doing with the workflow side of things, I think the idea of being flexible, like the whole purpose of this whiteboard session, I think, is for us to kind of come up with a couple different ideas. That way, if we see one's not working, we're not behind the gun. We're kind of proactive and like, okay, we're already working on 2 or 3 other ideas.
Yep.
And I think, if we keep the base idea of we're trying to solve issues for people and trying to actually bring them value, I think that, it's going to be pretty difficult to create something that is not helpful for somebody at some point. So
Right. Yeah. One of the other ones I want to bring up, Levi, is something we had already talked about, and it is the 199 website. And so one of the things I want to talk to you about on that one is maybe a little flip of the original strategy on that. I think the original strategy on that was that we would offer a free website for a monthly recurring revenue. Mm-hmm. And so I think that what may gain more quick traction is offering the build for $199 and see if they want to upgrade to hosting or other services, versus the other way around, where $199 a month, people are like, okay, that's $2,400 a year. I don't know if I want to make that level of commitment for a website, where at $199 for a high quality, quickly produced website, I think we just need to kind of get our value proposition there to make the differentiating factors, the speed of turnaround, the ease of build, and some of those components so that we could truly interact with that. And kind of to your point on the realtor tax plan, I know that we can build some agentic systems that will handle 99.9% of this workflow. Mm-hmm. So I think that'll be exciting. What do you think about the shift in philosophy on that one?
Yeah, same thing with everything else, right? Whatever brings in the money is what works, and the market will let us know, which version works. So the way that I always see things is test both and see which one comes out ahead.
Yeah, that makes sense. I like that. I'd love to, kind of have the competition, and I might even bet you $1 on that. So we'll see how that goes. So at least my share will be $1 more of the overall for our company. So, right. Okay, very cool. All right, moving on to the next one. Okay, this one is something I'm really passionate about, and I love doing this. So I want to build business plans. I have already, so right now, as you know, I have over 150 companies that I get a chance to work for in several different industries. And one of the things I know is the most successful companies actually have a plan. And by the way, I'm not talking about some SBA 72-page plan that's just, ready for the bank to be able to approve a loan. I'm talking about a realistic action plan, kind of like what we're going to build for Casper Workflow Strategies, that says, here's step 1. Here's step 2. Here's step 27. Hey, 27 is not working. Go to 27A, and be able to use it like a living document. It should be written in. It should be scratched through. It should not. Your business plan should not be in a binder sitting on a shelf behind you because you paid someone money to do it. So the goal for these is to really create action plans associated with these businesses so that people can have utilized, really, high level strategy. So what I see is a lot of people start with an idea and that's all they got. Sometimes they might have had an experience of getting something started. So they get like just past the starting blocks and then they fatigue out, or like they have hurdles where everybody else is running with like 3-foot hurdles, which I would probably need 1.5-foot hurdles, but they have these 3-foot hurdles and in their lane are 17-foot hurdles. And then they hit the wall and then they just stop. So these business plans, I think, will bring value, actionable use, and the ability to even evolve and interact, whereas we can then go back and offer Casper workflow strategies to help implement their systems to run their company at a much more efficient method than people who would typically start up, need some seed capital, need to hire staff and do some of those things. I think we can probably eliminate a lot of problems in the biz planning process. So I can certainly spearhead kind of the model for this, and then kind of we'll build out the tools together on what it looks like to have these things executed. So any thoughts or questions on that one?
Yeah, I like that idea too, because it kind of gives us easy foot in the door with people to build some reputation with them, and then allows us to help them succeed as well, So it's kind of helps us get a client, and then helps us be able to help them build their business, and then, in return our business keeps getting bigger and bigger. So I like that kind of the compounding effect there.
Yeah, I love that too, because I think in the spirit of everything that we do is the spirit of a servant's heart, and helping people, like just selling them a product is okay, but helping them to change their lives is much better. So I love that. Levi, as you know, because you helped me, this was really a personal thing that I built. Sorry for the spelling, everybody. So a personalized Bible reading plan. So this is something that I had built for my bride for her birthday. As you know, Levi, mom had come to me and she was really struggling because she wants to do her daily reading. She wants to stay disciplined in her spiritual life, but she was really struggling just following a generic plan because probably more times than not, it just wasn't relevant to what she had going on in life at that moment, right? And so the problem was simply that, right? Now, all of a sudden, she's just got information coming in, but no relevance to the information. It's kind of like reading a book that's just blah, 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 all the way across. And you read the words and you resonated with the words, but it didn't really make sense to your life right now. And so for her birthday, I built a 90-day reading plan focusing on her being a mother, her being a spouse, her working at a school, her serving her community and her church, and the things that were important to her. So each week, not only did she get that, but she got some words of encouragement. She got some personalized notes from me. And so I think we could build this out in a couple different ways. One where people can just go in, take a very brief survey on what their goals are, including the length of the plan. They want a 1-month plan, or they want a 1-year plan, or they want a quarterly plan, or whatever it is. And then they could choose from topics that are relevant to their life right now. So if you're going through difficult things like a divorce or like a health issue or other stuff, focus on those. Do a 1-week plan on that, And one of the other important things that I did when I built this was I built in context. A lot of the Bible is misunderstood or used in a way that's not relevant to the context, like what was actually happening at the time that part was written. And so I think it's really important to be able to do that in a way that is not only relevant to what's going on in your life, but then also actually sensible, right, to what was intended there, so that you don't misuse the Bible or the information you're provided. And so, that's dear to my heart. I know you already helped me with one of these, being able to build some sort of a system where people can go ahead and subscribe. They can pay either a monthly fee or an upfront annual fee or something like that, be able to go in there, update, change based on what's going on in their life, and even send this as a gift to other people. So I think it'd be really cool. So it was really fun too, because as you know, with my plan, I was able to deliver it on my bride's birthday. And with that, I was also be able to send in a birthday message. I also then, which our anniversary was only a couple weeks after that, she's got a little note for our anniversary in there as well. So when it opens up, that particular day is relevant to our marriage. It's relevant to her role as a spouse. It's relevant to some, of course, celebratory components. And so it was really, really cool. And I think she really liked it. So that's pretty cool. So any questions or thoughts on that one?
No, I think that one's cool because it highlights the personal aspect. And I always tell people, when I build something for you, this is for you. Like, if it's not working, then let me know. Like, I don't want to waste my time. I don't want to waste your time. So I think having that personal component to it is super cool and unique, just because it is very relevant. And, in my opinion, when we build something, it should serve its purpose for you. And I think that will highlight that pretty well.
Yeah. Awesome. Very, very cool. I have a couple more, but do you want to take a break? Do you have ones that you've been thinking about? Or I know we've talked about some of them, so I've thrown the websites up there already.
The only other big ones that I have is kind of the AI agent, the phone agents that, for lack of a better term, is giving people CRM a voice. I think that there's going to be a lot of big unlocks there for people, because I think a lot of people don't utilize their CRMs properly because it's just so cumbersome. So I think if we can unlock a way for them to interact easily, then I think that that'll help them propel their business a lot and give them a lot of metrics.
Yep. I agree with that, and it's so funny because I think Salesforce is out there, and I'm thinking Salesforce is going to have to watch out simply because they have built an amazing tool that for every 10 people that I know have Salesforce, 9 of them aren't using it nearly to the value that they're paying for it. It's an expensive platform. Not saying it's not worth it, but if you're not getting the majority of use out of it, like you're explaining, then shame on you for continuing to pay that amount of money, or for delaying the actual integration of the software, or holding people accountable to using the software. I believe that softwares like that, Salesforce being just such a good example, they miss the human part. They miss the part that someone's in their vehicle, and it would be better if they could speak into a voice agent versus trying to pull over to Starbucks, pull out your laptop, put all the data in, do all the stuff, right? Or just like I know with medical practitioners, it's so difficult because like they work all day and then all night they have to make notes about all their stuff to be able to get paid by the insurance companies or Medicare, Medicaid, whatever it is. And man, what a pain in the butt. And it just is unnecessary time. If there's a tool like a CRM voice agent where you can hop in the car, be like, hey, I just met with Levi Mossberg, great candidate for this product, or bad candidate, go ahead and put them on the do not call list, whatever it is, I don't want to talk to you anymore. So of course, not you, but if there was a point, it's just good so that then the CRM can move on, and then it can be trained to do the thing. Like, how do I respond to that? Does that person who's a do not call still go into our annual monthly newsletter program so they're kept up to speed? Is it a not right now answer in that conversation? Or is it just a bad lead so that our marketing team who is sending out information knows that we're, let's look at the percentage of good leads to bad leads kind of stuff. So I really like that one. I think it makes a huge difference in companies, Levi. And I think that, like you said, man, not enough people are using it effectively because none of the systems that I've gotten a chance or gotten exposed to actually address the human side of the program. And so I like that really well.
Yeah, I agree. And I think this is not even just a small business thing. This is a large corporation thing. One of the large companies that I work with, they paid $30,000 for somebody external to come set up Salesforce for them. And then they paid us a very nice penny to help it integrate with their website. And I can look in their Salesforce account today and they're not using it at all. And they spent upwards of $50,000 to $70,000 to get this implemented, and they're not going to use it. So it's not just a small business issue.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Well, this one I'm almost hesitant to share because I don't want, I'm telling you guys, take all this data, do it on your own, do something with it. This one I'm kind of like, maybe we need to launch it first to get out there, but I'll share it anyway. It's an idea. So over the last, as you know, almost 30 years, I've been putting notes in my kids' lunches, and I also make lunch for my bride. And so when she's working, and I put a note in her lunch. And I have to admit, although I'm a relatively creative person and every once in a while there's some relevant information, like I love to put my wife a note in there right before we're going away for a weekend away or something and say, hey, just looking forward to time away with you, it's relevant. But man, I run out of things to say. So boy, it sure would be good to have an agent who understands my voice, who can survey me and get some information about the receiver and really kind of create a couple plans. So I'm going to call it lunch notes. And so lunch notes would simply be me being able to go in there and say, okay, I'm writing notes for my wife. I write them 5 days a week, Monday to Friday. These are some of the things she likes. I'd like to include a weekly Bible verse, a bad dad joke, because she likes those, maybe a little flirty thing here or there, whatever it is, right? Mm-hmm. But just things that help me in my voice to be relevant, not to take away the sincerity of what it is, because believe me, if it's a message that doesn't make sense for me, I'm not going to put it in there, but something that also can send me a quick reminder don't forget your lunch note. Here's your message of the day. So at 5 o'clock in the morning, when I'm making lunches, I get that message sent to me in text or whatever platform that I'm looking for. And then bam, I can go ahead and help with the notes. And of course, if something changes or is relevant along the way, I can just write my own and figure it out. But it sure would be good to have some help with that. And for those dads out there, I think moms tend to be better at these kind of things than we are. And so I think it's definitely good for those dads out there, particularly if you do have a desire to, provide your bride with a little romance here and there, just a reminder that you're thinking about her, that you love her, and we're just horrible about leaving the note behind or doing something that makes her, go grab her coffee in the morning and go, wow, that's really sweet. And so I know the outcome of that's always much better than the cost of the time that it takes to do those little touches. So thoughts or questions on that one, Levi?
No, I mean, I think it's kind of the same thing with the personalized reading plan. I like it because it's just so personal. And I think you and I have talked about that kind of over the years as the planned spontaneity, just because it's planned does not take away from the value that is delivered.
Yes. So I love that you just created a word, and I love the word that you just created. So you were talking about not taking away the spontaneity, but you said spontaneity. And what I love about that, Levi, is that is a perfect word, because I know for you and me, look, we're both dudes, right? Our brides expect consistent spontaneity, which would be spontaneity, right? Spontaneous continuity. So I love that. It's like going forward, and maybe we'll create, like you said, this lunch notes is kind of, spontaneous but continuous. So I like that. We're gonna coin that. I'm gonna send it over to Webster's dictionary and have them add it to the language, and spontaneity. So everybody, if you got nothing out of the conversation, and particularly for guys that are watching, provide more spontaneity to your spouse. Okay. Show her a good time that she wasn't expecting. So, all right, moving on. Sorry, I picked up on that. I like it. Okay. So for now, did you have any others that you want to throw up on the board?
I mean, I think the only other thing, and it could be kind of lumped in with the CRM voice agents, would be kind of either some sort of dashboards or centralized system for businesses. I think
that's separate, right? Because it could be for different things.
Yeah, kind of goes in the same vein of what I've done for years is, custom software development, internal dashboards, integrating systems, all of that. I think there's a big gap there where, like you've talked about, people are not utilizing their CRM correctly, and most businesses have 4 or 5 different softwares that things are living in, and it's not all communicating, and they might spend 3 or 4 hours a week just tapping back and forth between the 3 to make sure data's accurate, or trying to make a decision. If we can help pull that all into one spot, then I think that could potentially save a lot of time for people.
Yeah, I think that's great. I love that too. All right. Well, what I'd like to do is wrap up the whiteboard session right now. However, I think it's extremely vital. I know from my iterations of businesses and different things that I've done, one of the most difficult things for the entrepreneurial mind is that we're a little bit ADD, or a lot sometimes, and we see shiny new objects and we want to chase them. Hi, I'm Dave, and thanks for having me at the meeting, right? And so with that mindset, I like to prioritize these in a way that we don't start all of them and not finish any of them, or not launch any of them well. I had just done a video recently talking about how, I think the old school mentality of multitasking has proven to be very ineffective. And so I think if we take a couple of these, because I think Casper's going to be the machine behind the project on everything, we'll start with Casper, get that out to the marketplace. And then I really believe that picking a couple of these to kind of just start developing on, time blocking and saying, okay, 30 minutes on Tuesday, 30 minutes on Thursday, I'll work on building it out, or you'll work on building it out. And with the tools that we have, I think that a lot of this stuff will move relatively quickly. And then when we get ready for the go-to-market plan, then we'll also have to make sure the Casper Workflow Strategies has some cash in it to be able to invest in the market push. So obviously Casper is our primary, right? That's going to not only create the goal of the $100,000, but I do believe that it's going to be a sustainable company into perpetuity. So we're going to just keep going on that and keep running that. So I think that that's super important for us to know and understand. And so I think that with that in mind, that's a no-brainer. What other ones do you think would be good to get jumping on pretty soon?
I think, like I said, I really like the biz plan option just because I think it gives us a good intro point to new people. I feel like kind of the CRM voice agents flows within the workflow strategies. So I think BizPlan is good just because it gives us a good intro with people. And then I kind of feel the same way about the websites. That kind of seems similar to the BizPlans where it's a good intro. And then I really like the personalized Bible reading plan and the lunch notes. I feel like we kind of lump those together. I think those would be pretty easy to knock out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, brother. I was messing around with the data there. So Casper workflows, biz plans, and what was the other one?
I kind of touched all of them.
Okay. Streamline down to just one more.
I think there's going to be big unlocks with CRM voice agents. I just kind of feel like that's umbrellaed under the workflow strategy, right? Because it is kind of a workflow strategy itself. So I think I would go down to the lunch notes just because I think that's a little bit more broad.
So use the lunch notes, not the CRM?
I think so because in my opinion, we're including the CRM inside of the workflow strategies base, right? Because it is a workflow strategy.
That's fair. And I like that thought process too, because as we build these things out for other people, we can take the learning that we've developed and create that program at the same time. And so that's one of the things I love about the Casper workflow model, because as we build out workflows, the development time on the next workflow minimizes when we can find people in the same niche. And I think that that's going to be super important for us too. As we find success with certain people building out their workflows, I think we're going to be able to sell the same workflow to other people with some minor personalization touches versus a complete rebuild. And so as we teach our AI some skills and as we document those skills properly, we can start with those and say, okay, we've created Julie, now let's create Sally, take these 4 skills over, but then let's personalize it to the user or the environment. So I think that's really cool. I think it's really cool. All right. Well, I think it's super important as you guys start to come up with ideas for what you need to do to be able to earn whatever it is. I've been talking about this for weeks now at this point. If your car broke down and you need $1,000, make a whiteboard list of the easiest things, the lowest entry points, the low investment points on how you can start something to just generate some income, like mowing a lawn or cleaning a house. Like the lowest entry point I know would be going and cleaning someone's house. Most of the people want you to use their particular chemicals and products because that's what they like in their house. The housekeeper that we have says, hey, please get me the materials and supplies so I can use those for your house. And they stay at your house. So they're not in and out. I don't have to worry about whose floor the mop was on before it got to my house, so I'm okay with that. And man, all you got to do is show up. And, by the way, if you're going to be doing house cleaning, show up in a nice neighborhood. Show up in a neighborhood where the home values are up if you really want to, make some good money at that. And it's a noble job. I think it's so valuable. Just figure it out and do it. Make yourself a little whiteboard. And there's nothing wrong with if part of your whiteboard is selling some junk you've got in your garage. Or figuring out how to just downsize a little bit. I remember, Levi, I don't know if you remember, but when your older sister, your younger sister, that's the oldest, was getting ready to be born, we ended up selling. I had a Chevy Blazer. We were living a decent life and all that, but man, we went ahead and sold that vehicle because it was too expensive. Got a tiny little Kia Sophia, which, by the way, Kia's gone. Just to kind of tell you the quality of the vehicle that we were buying at the time. It was a little stick shift with roll-up windows, where roll-up windows were almost like harder to find than just power windows. But I drove that for a couple of years because it's what we needed to do. The other thing is that sometimes the best memories ever come from those situations where I think one of my favorite memories, for those of you on the screen right now, man, one of my favorite memories, because we were good stewards and cut back when we needed to and lowered our lifestyle expectations because we were in a financial crunch, was we got rid of cable. And we lived in Tampa at the time, and the Tampa Bay Lightning, who we were big fans of because we got to know a couple of the players because of where I worked, where they frequented. I unfortunately didn't live in the same community that the players lived in because that time in particular, they made a lot more money than I made. And so, but they would bring tickets by, and I know we had a great time watching them, but they were in the Stanley Cup. And I remember that year, they actually were in Game 7 of the Stanley Cup. We had no cable. We were pretty broke. We ordered a couple pizzas and listened to that on the radio. And I just remember laying on the floor doing that and how exciting it was to listen to the commentators, which, by the way, kudos to all you radio commentators who are still out there. Man, these guys were amazing keeping us in the game. It was hard to keep up with them, but man, we had a great time. And by the way, the Tampa Bay Lightning won that Stanley Cup that year. It's almost, gosh, it is 20, I think it's just over 20 years ago before the NHL went on strike the following year. And man, what a great memory. And I think it was partly because we were good stewards of our finances that we were able to experience some cool things like that. And so, guys, if you're watching, make yourself a list if you have a need. And if you don't have a need, have a dream. Start planning the things you'd like to accomplish. Don't make financial problems the reason you don't reach your dreams. We live in America, and I understand some people have personal limitations or different things, so I'm sensitive to that. But if that's not your issue and the only personal limitation you have is your own feeling that you can't accomplish something, I'm here to tell you you can. I didn't do this. I didn't do this that long ago. We're talking about maybe a decade of transition for me at this point, and I'm 52 years old. So guys, I had to hurt for a long time before I was able to actually just open my mind and realize that there's a lot I can do on my own. Please take the time to do some stuff for yourself. Put it on your calendar and remind yourself that it's important and go after it. There's no reason not to. Levi, you have anything for the group before we head out?
No, I mean, I think same to everything you said. I think for me, my journey has been a little different. I've tried to, I grew up seeing what you've done. And so I thought it was all about go, go, go. And I think living a different, lifestyle, I think for me, go, go, go all the time is not super sustainable. So I think that it is okay to be a little different and have some downtime. You don't always have to go, go, go like all the videos show you. You take it at your own pace, but like Dave's saying, make everything intentional. Don't just take downtime because you think you need it. If you really need the downtime, take the downtime and then create the plan to get back on the horse, the next day, next week, whatever it is.
Yeah, I love that. And one of my proudest things is that you recognize that now, because at your age, I had nothing but go, go, go. And I know time away from the family and other things that I sacrificed certainly paid the price for that. So awesome, man. Hey, thanks for doing this with me, Levi. I look forward to more of these sessions and just appreciate your partnership on this. This is going to be a great time. So for those who are watching, thank you so much. Please like and share the videos, bring people in, subscribe to the YouTube channel so that we can continue to talk to you on a regular basis. It'll help you get notifications. It'll also help us to get some promotion out there from YouTube to be able to say, hey, someone's got an interest and this might fit their needs. So they'll move it to the top of their platform as well so that they get a chance to hopefully change their lives because they've gotten a chance to share some of this information. So thank you all so much, and we'll see you on the next episode.